Welcome to the Parkland Report. My name is Seamus Riley. Joining me in this segment of today's report, Dallas Street, Theatre Marketing and Business Manager. Welcome to the Parkland Report again, Dallas.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. A little bit going on in the theatre with some construction. Let's start talking about some construction updates.
Well, our next show was going to be Around the World in 80 Days, and that was supposed to be the grand opening of the second stage. It was a long, cold winter. Construction is a little behind, so unfortunately, that show won't open the second stage. We'll take that show and transplant it onto the main stage, still as the director intended, in the round with seats on risers surrounding it. But we anticipate that the second stage will be open by February for the show The Sparrow.
So just to remind everybody, like the second stage, we're calling it the second stage, it really was marketed as a black box, right? So just to explain to people, what is a black box and what will it bring to the theatre?
Well, a black box theatre is typically a very bare bones space that can be transformed into lots of different configurations as far as seating. It's typically painted black just to give a sense of any space, but black box, is not a very fun name. You think of the black box on an airplane, so we're calling it the second stage.
Excellent.
But our main stage seats around 314 people. The black box, the second stage, will seat around 110, depending on how it's configured.
So some flexibility in terms of extra performing space.
Sure.
Certainly flexibility in rehearsal space.
Rehearsal space. It can be it can be used for anything. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we're excited. We're already one show down in the season. Hard to believe. Leading Ladies. We started the season a farce.
Right.
Farces, despite my trepidation about them, they seem to play well in every community.
the audience really loved it. There's something about watching a well-timed farce, doors slamming shut, people coming and going. We had a great response to Leading Ladies.
Excellent. So great to get off to that start. And now we're going to do the specially themed opener, but which will still be, we'll celebrate it as an opening, and that's going to be Around the World in 80 Days, directed by Tom Mitchell. Some well-known story, I think, for most people. Some different approaches to how they're going to do it, or stage it?
It's very inventively staged. This is a new adaptation by Laura Eason, who is a Chicago playwright, and there's an ensemble, I believe, of 4 actors who play tons of characters throughout the evening, but it's a very strong cast of local and community actors and Parkland students.
So we are very lucky always at Parkland to get a great infusion of talent, both from within our own sort of student body as well as from the external community, and this is certainly a good example of how that works.
Including designers. I've seen the set renderings for this play, and it's really beautiful. It shouldn't be missed. And the thing about the second stage and Around the World in 80 Days, seating is limited. If you're used to coming to a show on the main stage without having a reservation, it's a little easier to get you into the main stage than it will be the second stage. So we're really encouraging people to make a reservation.
To book early.
Yeah.
Yes, because it is going to be staged in the main theatre, but in the round on the main stage. Right.
Yes.
So excellent. So very good. And then continuing on the season, I believe The Sparrow is up next.
The Sparrow should be in the second stage. This is another very inventive play out of Chicago. Really took Chicago by storm. It's difficult to explain because you don't want to give away the spoilers, but it's directed by Gary Ambler. It's on the surface it seems a simple story of a young shy girl who hasn't been in school for 10 years, or she's been homeschooled rather, but she returns for her senior graduating year, and tries to fit in, and she's kind of taken under the wing of one of the faculty members, and she becomes friends with the popular cheerleader. That's about all I should say.
Very good.
Keep your mind open. It's very fantastic. Yeah.
You know, a couple of things you said already, and it seems, you know, and I'm not as well versed in the theater goings on as you are, but it almost seems like people have become sort of minimalist in terms of even characters on stage, but certainly in terms of movement away from a technical sort of fireworks piece to a very subtle and inventive way of creating some of these pieces on
Sure.
stage. And that seems to be coupled as well with a return, and again, in my sort of very limited sort of exposure at the moment to theater, but the notion of a simple narrative structure, a simple plot, a simple, very strong character, and sort of playing with the richness of what that entails.
Sure. And then that's what makes the second stage so valuable. Both of these pieces, Around the World in 80 Days and The Sparrow, are perfect because Around the World in 80 Days, of course you can't do all the locations, you know, on a big stage. So you have to be inventive, and The Sparrow, I don't think would work well on our main stage. I think it's perfect for the second stage.
The notion of intimacy, though, I mean, are we getting to a point where we're beginning to get within the world of theater a sort of a return to that sort of real, live, intimate, tactile sort of feel for an audience?
Well, sure. I mean, there's, you know, it's 50-50. I mean, I enjoy seeing my money spent on a stage, but on the other hand, I wouldn't trade some of, you know, my theater-going experiences for the world of just being close and watching excellent actors, you know, at the top of their game, or, you know, just a riveting story.
So I just am noticing, like, in terms of like how so much of our world now is virtual and sort of detached, and beginning yet to see more and more interest in that sort of real life experience of performance, which is interesting.
Absolutely.
Good to see. We always finish with a musical,
Sure.
And I guess this year is no exception. Talk a little bit about this year's, next year, I should say, next year's offering.
Sure, The Drowsy Chaperone, and talking about having a great experience. I saw this show in probably eight years ago on Broadway. I won lottery tickets for the very front row. Probably easily one of the top three funniest shows I've ever seen. The premise is it's a lonely guy in his apartment who loves show tunes, loves theater, loves musicals, and he's feeling blue, so he wants to play for the audience this 1920 show called The Drowsy Chaperone. And it's fluffy, it's nonsense. The plot is about a Broadway star who's leaving the business to get married. But what makes it so fun is that the man, the character is the man in chair, kind of narrates throughout the piece, and so he'll comment on, you know, isn't this silly, and he'll talk about, you know, the real life actors who are portraying these parts. So, but with a really modern sensibility. So you have the juxtaposition of this frothy 1920s jazz age musical with a modern sensibility. It's very, very funny.
Sounds like very like Woody Allen would do on
Yeah,
something.
yeah, absolutely.
That mix of the modern and the old. Talk a little bit about another show that will be on, I'm sure, and that is our student production and what that might entail.
Sure. Rob Eck is developing that right now. That should be in March sometime. I believe there's 2 performances, an evening of one-act plays. So they'll be student directed and student performed. And so that's in the works, and we should have some information up on our website, you know, in the coming months.
Always exciting to hear what's going on. Just a reminder for people who might not know, how do they find out about what shows are on? How do they get tickets?
Facebook is a great way to not only find out about the shows that we're doing, but about upcoming auditions, which are open to everyone. if you go to the parkland.edu site, there's a scroll down and you can select theater or parkland.edu/theater, take you directly to our main site. You can sign up to get email notifications, mailings to your home, for reservations, you can easily do that online or call 217-351-2528.
We'll stick those numbers and that information up on the stage. And still a pretty good deal as far as an evening out of entertainment, right?
Oh, sure. And we still offer either our pay what you can night or half price night.
Good, and always deals for adults, seniors, and students as well. Dallas, as always, thanks so much for joining me here in the Parkland Report, and we'll see you back here next time.
All right, thanks.
We'll be right back after this short break.
Hey, Allison and Dylan, what if I told you you could get a head start on college before you graduated high school and for little to no cost?
Well, I'd ask you what the catch is.
Yeah, how can I take college courses if I haven't even finished high school yet?
That's easy. You simply enroll in dual credit courses at Parkland College.
But won't that be expensive?
Yeah, will all the credits transfer?
Well, most four-year universities accept these credits, and you're actually saving money. Many times the high school will even cover the cost of the course.
I'm sorry, did I overhear you guys correctly? Did you just say that you could take college courses without paying college tuition?
Yeah, all we pay for is the course and the textbook, and we can earn college credit towards getting our degree.
You guys are catching on. The credit works toward a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, and even toward career certificate programs.
I like the sound of this.
I don't know, this all sounds great, but I already have a busy schedule and I won't have time to drive to classes.
You won't have to. Parkland offers a number of dual credit courses online, in addition to the on-campus courses. Some of the courses are even taught in your high school.
You mean to say that one of the high school classes I'm taking right now could work as a dual credit course as well?
Yes, you should talk to the school counselor to see which classes are offered as dual credit in our school. Then all you need to do is apply to Parkland, and once you're accepted, fill out the application to the dual credit program. You'll need the signature of your parents and advisor for this.
That sounds easy enough, but are there any requirements to being eligible for dual credit?
Yes, you must be a junior or senior in high school, age 16 or above, in order to be eligible for dual credit courses. You can print an application online or visit Parkland's admissions office to pick one up.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to see the counselor right now.
Yeah, I don't want to miss out on this opportunity.
Me neither.
Catch live, play-by-play coverage of Parkland sports. Live the action live. Cobrasports.net.
Welcome back to the Parkland Report. Joining me in this segment, Lisa Costello, Director of the Parkland College Art Gallery, which has a new name. Let's talk about the Donna Gertz.
Yes, the Donna Highland Gertz Gallery at Parkland College.
Excellent.
It's our new name. But a lot of times we'll just call it Gertz Gallery.
Gertz Gallery,
It's quite a mouthful.
it's got alliteration, which is very pleasing to the ear. Talk a little bit about Donna Highland Gertz and how she came to have her name associated with the theater.
With the art gallery?
I beg your pardon, with the art gallery.
She taught here for over 20 years in a different area, and but she really loves the art, so her name might be familiar. Her husband, Fred, they established the Fred and Donna Gertz Education Center at Cranard Art Museum, which is a really wonderful program where they it's for K through 12 education, and so people can check out like art kits and learn about the arts and do programs with their students. So they've always loved the arts and supported the arts, and so Donna also is a board of trustees at Parkland College, and so I think she thought it was time to support the arts at Parkland College. And
Excellent.
So we're delighted. Yeah.
Very, very good. We're already well into the year, hard to believe. We've already had some fantastic shows. You can talk a little bit about a show that's over, because I want to give you an opportunity, or I want to take the opportunity to talk about just how amazing our faculty are.
Yeah, well, we always kick off the season with the faculty art and design exhibition, and so that includes about 20 artists in graphic design and also the art and design program. So it's a wide variety of work. There's printmaking and drawing and painting and sculpture, ceramics, photography, video this year, which was wonderful. Peggy Shaw did a beautiful video piece that was really striking in the show.
One of the interesting things about our faculty, for a second, is the fact that since I've been here, how much they work at their art and how much they're open to exploring new avenues to make art. I find that really fascinating.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they spend a lot of time in their studios working when they're not teaching, and so they're really committed to that. And I think our show, the Art and Design exhibition, really shows that, because they always present new work each year, and it has a lot of variety.
Can you talk a little bit about what goes into developing the shows for the year of the program? People might not know how much people would like to exhibit in our gallery, but it's an international attempt by people from all over the world.
Yeah, from all over the world.
Talk a little bit about the process that you go through to help decide what it is you want to have for the year and how you go about picking it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, we have the 3 exhibitions that serve the college very specifically. So that's the Art and Design Student Exhibition, and then there's the Graphic Design Student Exhibition, and both of those are juried. And then we have the faculty show. But in the between times, we try to fill the gallery with works that are going to complement what we're learning in the college. So we do a call for submissions, and we get over 300 submissions every year, which is very interesting. So we have shows from all over the country, and sometimes we have group shows, which are, I don't know, up to, like, the current show, Salvage, has 7 artists, and then sometimes we have solo exhibitions. So we have a jurying process that we go through, and people have to submit 20 images of their work on a disc, and then also their resume and a letter of intent. So I kind of like to know what they're thinking about for an exhibit. And then from that, kind of working through and filtering out what would be good for our college specifically, because we really think about what's going to, be good for our community as well as our students. And so some shows might be really great, but they might not be appropriate for us. So we always kind of have to think about that. And I think sometimes it's hard to send a rejection letter to a really great artist, but it's just not quite the right fit for us.
Do you try to keep a handle on a sort of a variety of different mediums that you want to focus on, as well as sort of trying to keep up with what are emerging trends in art?
Yeah, I think that's always something that we're thinking about. We've had fiber artists and sculpture. Because of our location in mid-central Illinois, it's a little bit harder if the artists are shipping their work to have large sculptures. Also, our gallery isn't, we don't have really high ceilings and things like that. So we have to think about what would look appropriate in the gallery as well. So we think about those kinds of things too.
So tell me about the current show that's got some weeks left to run, and Salvage and 7 different artists. So talk about the concept there.
Well, that show came from, I guess I started noticing, this is a show that I curated. Sometimes we have guest curators, but I kind of noticed a lot of things that were kind of percolating in the art world and using materials in unorthodox ways, and how they were using the material to actually make commentary on the work. So Carrie Ann Schumacher, who's going to be speaking later in October, she's using old romance novels and creating these dresses out of them. So instead of it being made out of fabric, the romance novels speak to the work as well. And you'll see that with John Paul Smith, who's also speaking in early November. We'll have all of the dates listed on our website. But he's using packaging materials. So, hot tamales and, Cocoa Krispies and Mountain Dew and things like that. And he weaves them into these beautiful works that hang on the wall. And so they're all of the artists kind of are making some sort of commentary about the material. Another artist who spoke at the reception, Richard Moninsky, he paints on camouflage material. So camouflage is really popular right now with fashion, but also when you think about some of the meaning that it has for hunting and for the military. So he paints on that, and he's talking about his upbringing in New England. So, he picks animals that are coming from that region and different decorative elements that are coming from early American history. So there's a wide variety in the show with the 7 artists, that are all making commentary by using the material.
So the material itself is the art as well as the art that's created on the material.
Yeah.
So very interesting.
But what I liked about it, because I've seen this has been kind of an ongoing interest in the visual arts for quite a while, but what I loved about all of these artists is I felt like the work surpassed the material. Like sometimes you look and you're like, oh, those are great, that's made out of bottle caps, but you don't think any more beyond that. And so I thought that all of these artists were challenging the work in some way.
So the conceit of using a recycled material to make art wasn't in of itself the art, and this sort of transcends that, brings it to a little bit higher level of interpretation.
Yeah.
Very ironical though, I mean, in terms of like the choices that artists have made. I'm always fascinated by what artists see in materials that they choose to use, so that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting how they see a little like nugget or kernel of interest and then idea, and then they just keep working it and working it and working it, and then we get to see the end results.
Yes,
we don't always get to see the struggle, but we get to see.
Yes. Was it the sculptor who said there's a beautiful image in the stone trying to get out? And all I'm doing is releasing it. So we get the end benefit of enjoying the final product. So talk a little bit more about the upcoming season. What other shows are coming along?
Well, after the Salvage exhibition, we'll be having a show, and it's Christopher Schneeberger, and he's a Chicago artist. He teaches at College of DuPage, and also he teaches at Columbia College, and so he does photography based on the paranormal. So he'll go to a house that's supposedly haunted and kind of live with the family and document things that are happening. So they're really wonderful photographs, and that exhibition is called Glimmer, and he'll be coming and speaking and doing a workshop with our students as well. But he'll be talking at the reception, which will be on Thursday, November 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. He'll be talking at 7 about the body of work that he has in the show, but he'll also do another talk during the day that's more extensive about kind of his development as an artist. So.
What kind of photography? Is it straight up photography or digital or black and white or all over the place?
It's digital photography, and so it's in color, and they're really spectacular. So I've just been working on the card and all the promotional materials, so I can't wait to see the works in person.
So another sort of emerging theme in our culture right now, the notion of the paranormal or
what's real and what's isn't,
not.
and Photoshop and things like that.
So I was going to say that, isn't that at this point, isn't it possible to make anything, almost make anything using photography and make it seem like it's really there? Yeah.
And I also think what's interesting about his work is that he develops a narrative in the work. So it's not just like an action shot of someone doing something. It's more about this narrative and how you piece all of the images together. And I think a lot of our students are interested in that idea of narrative, and that there's a whole kind of historical precedence in photography with that idea.
I'm also interested in the idea of using an actual physical space. I mean, I know there's a lot of things floating around the internet now about abandoned houses and abandoned warehouses, and I know there was a really, really famous exhibit recently which showed contents of immigrants' suitcases who'd come to this country, which was a
fascinating.
Spectacular. But this notion of sort of documenting actual spaces and people, living spaces, people actually in them. I don't know if you've seen a huge series of work now that's come out, colorized versions of photographs which had never been seen, or at least had only been seen in black and white. So it's totally different perspective on it, so it's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I love about photography, is we're now into a time period where there's an actual history to photo that's kind of changing and evolving as we speak.
Almost as if, though, as we've become so used to being able to generate or make photography ourselves in almost any device right now, and yet the sort of notion to have that kind of permanence that's associated with it, and resurrection of older photographs, and its stability as an image that can be captured and framed and displayed. So it's interesting.
Yeah. And then let's see, our show after that is Tom Beren's, and it's called Presently Absent. And that exhibit is, it's a painter, and so he does work that looks kind of post-apocalyptic, so after some big catastrophe has happened. But they're in very bright, beautiful colors, and the perspective is really crisp and sharp, and so the work is really fascinating as well. He's also an interesting artist. And he's relatively young. He just got out of graduate school. So we're excited to have him come and present his work too.
Very
so
good.
that'll be, next semester.
And then after that, do we have some ceramics coming down there?
No, not this year actually, except for in the student shows.
Sure.
So we'll have our two in the spring. We have our art and design student exhibition, and that'll be art students from all over the art departments. They'll submit their work, and so it'll be a show of about 200 works. So it's really a nice exhibition, and kind of shows what they've accomplished throughout the whole year. So it's a good show for not only highlighting what our students can do, but also kind of educating people who are interested. So high school students and other people who are interested in attending Parkland can see what kind of work they create in the exhibits. And then after that will be our graphic design exhibition. And then in the summer, we're doing a show, it's Around the Block, and that'll be artists from the Champaign County 505 district. So we haven't done something like that in a while, and that'll be a juried exhibition. And I'm still working on all of the dates for that, but I'm really looking forward to showing a lot of our local artists.
One thing that is gratifying is how many folks from the community and students who are coming here to become art majors, or at least take art classes, how many of them persist and go on and continue to make art, even if it's not their full-time occupation.
Yeah.
And many of our community artists get their start at Parkland or continue to work here and use it as a creative space for them.
Definitely.
So it's great.
Yeah.
Graphic design is just an emerging and interesting field with the advent and expansion of digital media. It's just a fascinating place to be right now.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So that's always a great show to come and visit and see what's going on, what our students are learning on web design or posters. A lot of times they'll take movies that were made previously and then they'll reinvent the marketing for it. So that's always really nice too.
Well, as always, it's wonderful to have you here in the Parkland Report. Thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to seeing the shows as they arrive in the Gertz Gallery at Parkland College. Thanks so much, Lisa.
You're welcome.
And that's it for this edition of Parkland Report. We'll see you back here next time.